Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
You all know, unless you've been living underneath a rug, the U.S. elections happened, and there was a medical phenomenon shortly after the elections. It was a huge medical catastrophe that was going on in the U.S. It was all over the place. I don't know if y'all know, but in case you don't know, I'm going to tell you what was happening. You see, what was happening was emergency rooms all over, the eastern states and Texas and, wherever you find, your immigrant Muslims, they were being filled with cases of torn ligaments and dislocated hips and infused vertebrae from immigrant Muslims, twitching way too hard, twitching and twerking and twirling for Zaddy way too hard. Okay, so hard that they had to end up in emergency rooms. The emergency rooms just flooded. They were getting flooded. Insurance policies was going up. They were skyrocketing. And, next thing you know, Muslims are giving themselves high fives and attaboys and chopping it up, basically declaring victory because Donald Trump won. True story. But I digress. Family, in any experiment that you do, if you're doing an experiment, if you're running an experiment, there's no such thing as a failure in an experiment. Okay? If you're running an experiment, even if the experiment itself doesn't produce the desired results that you want, the information that you have in that experiment can be used to carry out your goals for the next time. So there's no such thing as failure in experiments. And some of our heroes in the past, they had experimented with this white supremacist. You have Martin Luther King, who wanted to see the moral humanity in this white supremacist, or the moral civility in this white supremacist. So he fought for civil rights. And what that experiment ended up proving was that the white supremacist is neither moral nor civil. We're in 2024, and this is what we have witnessed, no difference from 1964. Malcolm X. Malcolm X was trying to take the United States to the International Human Rights, to international courts for human rights violations. He was trying to see the human morality of this white supremacist. And what he found out is that the white supremacist has no humanity and no morality. And they continue to show that all over the globe. You don't have to look much further than what's going on in the Middle East, or Africa, or Haiti. So all of this information is valuable. It didn't make a difference to this white supremacist if you took a militant approach like Malcolm X, or if you took a pacifist, peaceful, docile approach like Martin Luther King. Both of them got assassinated for their efforts. Furthermore, there is nothing that is off the table in terms of oppression and carrying out the goals of the white supremacists to the white supremacists. They are the most evil, wicked, oppressive ideologues in human history, in human recorded history. Nobody has done more damage than the white supremacists in recorded human history. Nobody. Nobody's even come close. And it doesn't make a difference if they were democratic or fascist or communist. The end result is always the same. Carry out their goals by some of the most wicked, evil stratagem that you can think of. And it doesn't even occur to some people to carry out these things because nobody's really that evil, okay? Who thinks to make up, for example, a race-specific virus to soft kill Black people specifically in, for example, the HIV/AIDS virus? Only these folks can think of something like that. Smallpox, only these folks can think of something like that. Now you see what's going on in the Middle East, where they are putting out these cans of food, but it's not food, to starving children and women. And when they go and open these foods, this food, it's bombs. That's how they think. So you're not talking about somebody who is a human. You're talking about human-looking people. They look human, but they're not actually human. So now, we had this election. And we talked about some of the imams and what they were saying before, and taking this overly diplomatic approach. And we said very explicitly, this is not a time for being diplomatic. You have to take a very hard decision. Because if you don't, the decision will be made for you. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I know some of y'all are watching the thumbnail and you're seeing Tom Ficini in the thumbnail. Now, some of y'all are my day ones, and some of y'all I talk to behind the scenes. And I never talked about publicly about Tom Ficini. But those of y'all who talk to me from behind the scenes and stuff, you can put in the chat what my ideas and what my thoughts are about Tom Ficini before we continue. Just put it in the chat. What does the Feachaz think? And are any of these ideas new to the Feachaz? How long has the Feachaz behind the scenes saying such and such a thing about Tom Ficini? Just put it in the chat. If my day ones, if I talk to you behind the scenes, because I never publicly said anything about this dude. Never. And I was tempted to many a times, okay? But I never did because you know, y'all already giving me the reputation of being a rabble rouser and all this kind of troublemaker and all kind of stuff, right? It ain't even like that. It ain't even like that. So before we continue, I want to read some articles, right? Because we got time. See, Brother Muhammad, I heard you mention he's a Fed once, but I missed the episodes of this content. No, I didn't mention it on an episode. I didn't mention it on an episode. Right? And what I said was behind the scenes, because y'all be asking behind the scenes. Y'all be sending me Tom Puccini stuff all the time. And I said, to me, he moves like the Feds. I didn't say he is the Feds. I said, to me, he moves like the Feds. That's just to me. Anybody else? I talked to Brother Muhammad Mystery behind the scenes, right? I never mentioned this in an episode.
Paper gold. You see, black folks are chumps. If America were to tell you to bring all the rocks in this country to her, and she'll give you $1 million for it, you'll do it. And the next day she'll tell you we're using rocks for currencies, chump.